What we are going to do now is prepare our gas generator. So the first thing we have to do is measure out the amount of CaCO3 we need. So we're going to put a piece of weigh paper on. We'll give it a second and we're going to tare it. And we're looking for about 0.26 grams, anywhere over there. So here's our CaCO3. 0.172. We're just going to add a little bit at a time so we get upwards of 0.26. This will actually be good enough for us. We'll stop there. What the scale is reading now is 0.244 grams. 0.244 grams. So what we have to do now is we have to put that in the tiny little test tube. So we're going to grab our small test tube. Here it is. And we will put this inside. So here we go. This is not the easiest task you'd have to do in a laboratory. So we're just going to tap it in so we get all of it in. We don't want to lose any to the floor. Got a bit of a clump that doesn't want to move. Okay, it's all in. Here we go. So this we're just going to set aside right now to sit. Put it right over in here. The next step we have to do is fill up our larger 200 millimeter test tube with 10 mils of 3 molar HCl. So we're going to take our HCl over here. We have our graduated cylinder. And we're going to fill in our 10 mils. And the HCl will react with the CaCO3 to form carbon dioxide. So we are at 10 mils right there. So we're going to take those 10 mils and we're going to pour them straight into our test tube. So we have it all in there now. Here comes the hardest part. We have to take this little tiny test tube and slide it into here without it mixing. So first of all, I'm going to take this beaker, and this is just going to sit here for us. We're going to tare it. This way we can get the weight and the mass, of our gas generator. So we'll tare. And now we're going to slide in. So we're going to tilt this on its side, tilt this here, and we're going to carefully slide this in. We don't really want it to splash. And there you have it, in without mixing. So now what we have to do is just get the mass of it. So the mass of the gas generator is 58.372 grams. 58.372 grams. Now we're going to move it over here to the side. I'll just move you, slide you over to our actual setup. So what I did is I filled this pan with water saturated with Alka-Seltzer. And the Alka-Seltzer produces carbon dioxide. Let me move these out of the way. Here's our box of Alka-Seltzer. And that saturates the water with carbon dioxide. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to use a bit of a larger graduated cylinder than it calls for, just to make sure if we do produce more gas, we don't run out of space. So we have to fill this completely with water and tip it upside down so there's no bubbles. So here we go. This is the fun part. We're going to submerge it as much as we can. And we're going to tilt it up so we get out the air. And, oh, we got some bubbles. And again, okay, so we should be bubble free now. So we're going to flip upside down. Look at that. No air bubbles. And we're going to move this on over to our clamp. Open up our clamp just a little bit and tighten it on. So now we're clamped into place. The next thing we're going to do is raise this clamp up. As long as we don't break the seal, we should be all set. So this is going to hook into the top of our gas generator, and this little piece of glass down in here is going to go underneath. So we're going to stick it in just like this, and we are good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have some extra water ready to go. So remember what's going to happen, as the CO2 is generated, it's going to go up the graduated cylinder and it's going to push the water out. And what we'll do is we'll use some of our extra water here to make sure our levels are even. So now that we are good to go, the next step is taking our gas generator from over here. We are going to attach the top, make sure it's a snug fit. Okay, so we're good to go now. We're going to agitate this, and then you should see the bubbles come in. So here we go. Look at that. And I'll try to get out of the way. We're going to mix, mix. There goes the gas, traveling up through. And we want to keep agitating till all of our material is used up. And we can sit it in here to just sit for a second. It looks like we still have some solid, so we're going to agitate some more. And we can use our hands to do that. Put some more in. And just a little bit more in. Looks like we've reacted everything. So we're just going to give it a second to make sure that there's any other CO2 that might be in the line. Can go through and in. And I think we're good. Okay, so the next step, all we have to do now is actually just calculate the amount of water. And unfortunately, I cannot push this up to even it out. Would have helped if we used a smaller cylinder, but to be on the safe side, we use this one. So I'm going to try to move you guys closer and move the camera closer. If we're looking at the graduated cylinder here, this is 50. So here would be the 10, 20, 30, 40. Again, we had 50. So this would be 49. And this would be 48. And this would be 47. So if we're looking at the meniscus, remember we're not going to read from the top, we're going to read from the bottom still of where it pushed it. So we are sitting right at 48 milliliters. So we evolved 48 milliliters of CO2. So now that this is at 48 milliliters, the last thing we have to do is just remass this, our gas generator. So I'm going to swing you back this way. So we can get the mass on the balance. So we're just going to unhook ourselves. And our mass is 58.367. But, hold on. I'm going to do this first. I realized I had some wet hands. That's going to lead you to some errors. So let me just wipe down this from my wet glove. Just going to wipe the water from my glove off. Wet gloves are no help. So without the water, you are 58.285. 58.285 is the mass of the generator after. 58.285.